how do you do these integrations? Because, just selfishly on our part, like, do these integrations tend to work together pretty well? Because, like, is there crossover where they kind of run?
As
Yeah.
a general rule, I think they do
Okay.
because what I've seen from most add-on vendors for Business Central is they're trying not to interfere at anything Microsoft did.
Okay.
Like what we've done. You're trying to be like macros on top of the standard Business Central functionality. So you're streamlining it, you're making it easier to use, or maybe you're adding some custom user fields, user-defined fields, so you could collect extra data. Like a planning line in a project doesn't have a drawing ID field, so we added a drawing ID field. It's a pretty logical thing to add
All
if
right. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
loading a bill of material. And if you're not trying to like twist what Microsoft did and make it work differently than Microsoft did, then it works great with each other because you're all kind of going into that one base, right? You're all respecting the basic functionality that Microsoft put in. And if
Right.
I write something that expects it to work the way Microsoft did, and you wrote something that leaves it working the way Microsoft did, we'll work together just fine. There are
Yeah.
a couple of products. There is a product that we sell that's for the print manufacturing industry, which is really unique and very strange
Hmm.
industry. If you've ever worked in print manufacturing or dealt with them, they're kind of on the blend between craftspeople, artisans
Okay.
and manufacturing companies, right? Because
Mhm.
the print manufacturing is very sophisticated. It's actually it's very interesting, and I've learned a ton about it in the last few years. Their product, the product that this company has produced, because the print manufacturing industry is so unique and so different, has made some changes to the way they do things that
Mm.
don't exactly align with the way Microsoft does things. And because of that, and we sell their product, by the way, we're one of the only resellers in North America who sell it. But because of that, I now find I have to talk to the vendor and say, "How do you do that? What is your approach?" And find out, because I know what this one can do. I may try and plug something else into it and it won't work because they have not followed the standard Microsoft path.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
exceptional though. Almost nobody does that.
That's pretty. Well, yeah, because most of the, if you're going to build like, I used to do a lot of ERP kind of customizations for like back in the day when I was still doing sideline stuff years ago. Was like you didn't want like you wanted you might, but what you're essentially doing is building better interfaces over the standard functionality. So like
Yes.
is so like one of the times we were working with a slitting manufacturer who like and the slitting had a lot of lot tracking and stuff like that we had to do. So we ended up building essentially an alternate order entry interface that would allow them to do off the slit rolls and stuff like that and the track.
Can I talk to that? Do you mind if I talk to that?
Sure, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pitch somebody else's product that I don't sell, but I
Okay.
know really well because
Yeah.
we had a mutual customer.
Mm,
So there's a product called Real Steel that was built into Business Central,
mm.
and it's for things like steel slitting.
Okay. Yeah.
And what they did was they took the standard sales order screen and they added, because just what you said, they added an
Mhm.
alternate order entry section to the standard sales order screen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you were gonna take an order for your customer's slit coil, you would fill it in this little extra
Mhm.
page, extra section, and you click a transfer to order button, and it would transfer that to the sales order lines. So
Yeah.
you didn't replace the sales order lines. The standard sales order
Mhm.
lines that you found in a standard Business Central sales
Mhm.
order was still there, and they worked the way they would work no matter what you had configured, but a little configurator popped up to allow you to configure the split coils you were going to do. And if you configured certain split coils in ways that hadn't been done before, it would create those items. Because that's the whole thing about split coil is there's millions of variations of how you want it done, right?
Right. Exactly.
And it would even track at that sales order level. And I think this was user fields that they used. Things like, do you want it eye to the sky or eye to the horizon? Which means, do I want the coil on the side with the circle visible, like I can look through it, or do I want it sitting down so that the circle points up, right? Like
Oh
the
yeah.
hole in it is pointing up. So even because that's important, because some companies, the way their crane or the way their forklift will pick the coil off, they have to have it so that the hole in the coil is horizontal rather than vertical.
Oh yeah.
So this company developed that, and they enhanced every screen of Business Central they could without changing its fundamental functionality.
Hmm.
And
That's
they built a steel processing
mhm.
solution into Business Central. Again, Real Steel, the company's called Walcott Group, and Kevin can buy me a beer next time he sees me for having mentioned him. But that's a great example of an add-on for Business Central that has really fundamentally changed what it can do and which industries it could
Mhm.
sell into without actually overriding Microsoft's default behaviors. So they're keeping
Yeah.
as much of it the same as they can, which allows them to work with all the take a credit card or
Mhm.
do a FedEx, like a rate shopping application that does LTL, FTL, or current carrier rate shopping, et cetera, because they never rewrote any of that stuff. That stuff they just
Right.
kept the same.
We call that like a pipeline integration type of way of doing it. So like, exactly what you're describing. We did it for wine label slitting off
Yeah.
paper. So
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially did the same thing, just build all the screens on top of the ERP that fed into the normal data tables. So it's really just,
Well,
you're just adding a step ahead of the pipeline to
but
configure
remember,
and
when you're
understand
doing
it.
this in Business Central, you're
Yeah.
editing it in Business Central because Business Central is a commercial open source software. So when you're embedding into Business Central, you're not a layer above it. Like you're not running an icon that is a different application. You're filling the information in and then it's flowing somehow into Business Central from beneath or from above into Business Central. You're in Business Central
Oh,
and
that
there is an
same.
extra
Yeah.
section embedded into the app. I don't know if that's what you guys did with
Yeah. That's
yours.
actually the same thing. Yeah. But you
Yeah.
could do that. You could do that with, Sightline too at the time.
Okay.
So you could essentially you could change the screens and change the like make custom screens to feed into the standard stuff. But yeah, I mean that model of integration or augmentation of the system is a beautiful way to do it because you're able to feed into the same pipeline. So you're not changing the core
Right, you're in the
functionality
one
out of
database.
right.
Everything's in the one database. And
Yeah.
and the other thing I'll say about, the Business Central model is if you put Real Steel in, you started using it, you were doing stuff with it, and you decided, "I don't like this." You pulled it out of Business Central. All of it would vanish, okay? It would just revert to the original Business Central. Now, the data that's stored there and the items you created and all that, they'll be there, but they'll be missing all those custom user fields that were part of Real Steel. Maybe those are necessary, maybe they're not. But the beauty is that, therefore, the model that Microsoft has introduced allows that open source customization to occur without changing the original so
Mm.
that you can easily plug it in and take it out, like a Chrome plugin.
Oh yeah.
I want to have a Chrome plugin that stores my passwords, and then later I decide not to use it anymore. I uninstall it, it's gone, and my Chrome reverts back to the normal Chrome. Business Central works that way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, because really what they're doing is they're creating functionality over and above the data. The data, like it's just because like a lot of times, like if you're doing slitting, like they're talking about in a normal order entry screen, it'd be horribly inefficient and like very
It
not
would
very
be very nightmarish.
yeah. So you're building
Yeah,
that layer, they're building that layer above it to make it easier to just kind of automate what that horrible job would be if you had to do it all manually. But the data's still there. So if you took it out, they're like, okay, well, you can still do it. All your data's there.
right.
You can
You
do
still
things.
have the coils that were ordered on that
Yeah.
order, still
Yeah.
sitting there
Yeah.
as they would have been, but you've lost the nice user-friendly
Mm.
configurator for the coils that you use to create the lines. But you could spend the time in an Excel sheet and hand bomb what they need to be and then copy and paste that into Business Central if you wanted to. So what they're really doing is just, like I said, I describe it as macros. You're just like
Yeah.
layering a macro on top to make things easier. So taking something that would be 20 steps to do and bring it down to 3 because you've automated the process. And then you get AI now, and we don't even know what AI is going to be able to do, but it's certainly going to be integrating. I have one last little bit. Like we're
Sure.
getting really close to time, but I
Oh
just
yeah.
want to say one thing about AI and ERP and manufacturing in particular. Technically, if MRP is an expert system, which I would argue it probably could be considered, and finite capacity planning is an expert system that I would also say
Mhm.
would probably be true. Manufacturing has had AI, if expert system and AI are kind of synonymous, for the longest of any industry
Oh, I would agree with that. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
but maybe airlines, right? Because that automated scheduling, automated planning, automated like ability to run in and have the system spit data out to you has been there for a long time. So to some and even things like visual inspection, like I remember I worked for a company 30 years ago that was experimenting with visual inspection systems that would pick up defective parts and remove them from a line and let the good parts flow through. AI in manufacturing, I think part of the thing that's caused some challenges for people to follow what is that the outsiders from manufacturing say, "Oh, we could help it automate your purchasing." And we're all like, "Yeah, it does that."
Yeah.
Or
It
we
does.
could help it automate your setup optimization on your machines. And it's like, "Yeah, it does that."
It does
We
that.
have that, right? We need the data if you put the data in, but AI needs data too. So I think there are going to be these other opportunities in manufacturing. And I'll give you one example, which is manufacturers like to have workflows often to approve purchase orders. And what they do is they set a limit like $10,000 to approve purchase order. Because if you had to approve every purchase order, that would be crazy. So you pick this arbitrary number like $10,000 that the somebody in a managed position could check it. And typically what they're looking at is like, is there a better vendor? Did you really research which vendors you should buy it from? Could this part be obsolete in the future? Is there some reason why we shouldn't buy it, et cetera? I think an AI could do that. And you could do that with $5 purchase orders because the AI can be trained to look at things like, has this part been removed from engineering, like new engineering in a product lifecycle management? Like, is the new version going to use this part? Is this part like a commodity and the price may have changed radically because the prices have come down on the commodity, but the price of the part hasn't, et cetera, et cetera. It could reach out to the internet and take some looking. I think that kind of thing, which is stuff we can't do today because it would be too onerous for a human to do it. I think that's the kind of thing we should be looking at AI doing in manufacturing.
Oh yeah.
And not the kind of stuff that CADTALK already has something that'll draw engineering drawings and suck them into the bill of material, or MRP runs or production scheduling runs. I think it should be these other things we haven't really thought of. And that's a very Eli Goldratt thing. He talks a lot about how new technologies, what we think is the obvious use case of them is not always the obvious thing.
No, I think it's
the actual thing.
I would agree with you. I mean, like we need to have we should have a longer conversation because we have some things that we're working on that I think you'd be interested in about that. But it's like, I think it's more around the workflows than around these like obvious cases. It's where the humans are still involved is where all the juice is in this. People think it's like, oh, I'm going to figure out like the algorithms in manufacturing is a keystone industry. There's more work done on the algorithms of these like production planning, all that stuff's been around forever. And I would agree. I mean, all these things being expert systems, everybody thinks of LLMs now as being the thing. It's the expert systems has been the original AI forever. But like where the part, like to me, it's like I said, purchasing workflows, supply chain decisions where like it would be prohibitively hard for a human to do that because of the amount of volume will be trivial to do to an ERP, to an AI. It'd be like, oh, source the vendors, switch out the material that you're using on the fly to burn, so you could burn this. Like, and then swap.
Like suggest alternates. Like, we're getting low on inventory. Suggest an alternate to the worker in the shop floor so he can go grab it, but change the material in the bill of material so that it'll account for it before you use it, or however you're going to do that, right? Like, I agree with that kind of those sorts of things that humans still do. They're time consuming and important, but so we limit how many of them we do because the time consuming kind of limits us. Throw some of that at AI. Let humans continue to do the $10,000 approvals if you feel like that's necessary. But now let AIs do some stuff that you never have done. Like, you haven't bothered with it, right? I saw a really interesting AI solution that would email vendors emails and say, is your PO still on time? And if not, what date do you expect it to be delivered? And when they reply, that flows into the ERP. It tells the buyer, hey, the vendor is going to delay the delivery, and it updates the ERP due date of the purchase order, which tells planning and everybody else in the company what's happening. That's a really, really handy dandy use of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's like, you can go really deep with that. I mean, I think, I'd love to have a conversation with you to share some of the things that we're working on.
You have to invite me back, Scott.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I'm glad we got to meet on this call because, like similar backgrounds, like we're both excited about the same thing. We both love, Eli Goldratt. I mean, this is a good match. So I'd love to talk to you some more. That'd be awesome.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. I think we got through a lot of it. I know we're definitely over, but, because I could talk forever. I have time, but I didn't want to burn up yours. But I do have to go. I'm sure you do. So we'll go ahead and sign off for today, but I really appreciate the time today, Robert. This has been awesome. And where are you located, by the way? I know you're in Canada, but what part?
I'm in Guelph, Ontario, which is close to Toronto. It's about 35 miles west of the airport.
Excellent. Yeah, you're not really that far. It's a short flight for us. We're in Cincinnati, so that's not bad at all.
Well, you guys are really close. I'll come and visit you because I'm going to go see a ball game there someday.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not this summer, maybe a couple summers, but we're going to do the tour of we'll go to Cincinnati, probably Detroit on the way, and Cincinnati, and maybe come back and see a ball game someplace else. We've seen Cleveland and Boston, and then COVID happened and we stopped traveling, but we were going to go to all the MLB parks.
Oh, absolutely. You should come to Great American. Like, I can see it from my house, my new house.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be able to see, like,
You have to buy me a drink though. You have to bring me over for a drink before we go.
Oh, hell yeah. We'll do that. We'll go to the game. Yeah. We'll take you to the game. It's, I'm a huge Reds fan from way back. I've got like, Pete Rose stuff on my walls here and stuff. So we're good. Awesome.
All right, Scott. Thanks so much. This is a real pleasure.
All right. Same for me. Thank you so much. All right. Thanks, Robert.